BB851, turn right, heading 180. Order 14 Papa, turn right 245, report localizer established.
The Boeing 777X has been an aircraft I've continued to talk about more and more here on the channel, and while I'd love for it to always be positive, it's a type which in the past few months really hasn't seen anything good going for it. In recent days, the latest issue in a string of problems, including GE9X engine troubles, came about. The Boeing 777X, if you're unaware, is currently being heavily tested as it does prepare for its first flight, which has been delayed to 2020. This was after originally we were expecting the type to fly during July of this year. During this intense testing period, there was a cargo door explosion that did occur. Following this, Boeing did announce that it had suspended all testing on the new aircraft. The report was originally shared by Reuters, but as you've probably seen, has now been widely picked up around the world. Reuters received a comment on the issue from a spokesman saying, during final load testing on the 777X static test airplane, the team encountered an issue that required suspension of the test. Of course, this is incredibly vague, but right now it's not uncommon to not hear the full story from Boeing. The door explosion occurred just before the weekend, specifically on Friday. I do apologise for not getting to it sooner, but I am trying to have weekends off, and that is why you didn't see this particular video sooner. The door, which did explode outwards rather than into the aircraft, occurred during one of the many high-pressure tests new aircraft undergo. These tests are actually all a part of Boeing's overall goal, to get their plane certified and therefore ready for delivery to customers, with, as you know, Lufthansa and Emirates being the first customers for the Boeing 777-9. What's concerning and almost disappointing, according to the Seattle Times, is that this particular test just so happened to be one of the final tests that the type had to undergo for it to actually pass its certification. The certification process in the past year has drastically changed following ET302 and even JT610 with regulators. As we know, these two aircraft that went down were brand new Boeing 737 It therefore raised a lot of questions at how aircraft manufacturers work with regulators to certify their aircraft. Especially in Europe though, as in Europe they now require even more testing on new aircraft than ever before to prevent another tragedy, which, when you think about it, does indeed make sense, even though it's going to take a lot longer. Unfortunately, news of this really couldn't come at a worse time. Boeing is getting ready to put their 737 MAX into the sky, but many are still cautious when flying a Boeing aircraft. While that's not me, it'd be wrong of me to ignore those people that are still skeptical. This is the latest issue in a string of things that will most definitely not go down well with the general public, should it actually reach that far. However, what is important to remember is that this is actually what testing is for. It's about ironing out cracks or issues with a new plane before it is, of course, delivered. The testing phase allows customers to know that the plane they're getting is safe and ready to go. Of course, it allows Boeing, the aircraft manufacturer, to also make sure that their plane is safe for customers. So you might be asking, what is Boeing going to do now? What Boeing is going to do is to determine if this was an isolated incident, that is, as it very well could be, or if there's actually a fault with a part on all 777Xs, or there was just an issue very simply during the installation process. From there, they'll make the necessary changes and then we'll redo that test, which, might I add, will very likely go smoothly after they've fixed this issue. With that being said, that's the conclusion of today's video. Thank you very much for tuning into it, and I do very much look forward to you all joining me in the next one.